So the G20 is a summit that's supposedly a gathering of world leaders, but there are a lot of people who aren't world leaders in attendance, at least in the traditional democratically elected sense. That would include self-appointed leaders like Microsoft founder Bill Gates. Also, by the way, Klaus Schwab. Who's Klaus Schwab? Well, he's the founder, chairman of the World Economic Forum. And during COVID, Schwab, well, he saw a big opportunity. Here's what he said. He wrote, "There is now a brief opportunity for global leaders to cooperate to achieve a great reset, a step forward to a more resilient, cohesive, equitable, and prosperous world." Klaus Schwab, and I didn't really do the accent there, but Klaus Schwab still has not given up on that goal. Yesterday at the G20 in Bali, Schwab again called for a new world order.
What we have to confront is a deep, systemic, and structural restructuring of our world. And this will take some time. And the world will look differently after we have gone through this transition process. Politically, the driving forces for this political transformation, of course, is the transition into a multipolar world, which has a tendency to make our world much more fragmented.
I know it's been said, but I can't get it out of my mind, and neither can you as we watch. I mean, that's the embodiment of a Bond villain. And look, nobody voted for this guy. So why is he lecturing world leaders about his plans to transform the world? To have us all eat bugs, live in mini houses, own nothing, and be happy. And while we're asking questions, why was his organization, the World Economic Forum, promoting FTX, the cryptocurrency exchange, completely today engulfed in controversy? We'd like the answer to those questions, but of course we'll never get them. Speaking of FTX, the New York Times just put out a softball article on the whole situation. The New York Times, in that article, failed to mention fraud, well, of any kind. Instead, they describe FTX's founder, Sam Bankman-Fried, as a selfless individual who made a few mistakes. Yeah. The article doesn't mention SBF, as he's known, massive donations to the Democratic Party either. But some reporters are looking into this whole thing, and one of them joins us now. It's Charlie Gasparino, who, by the way, has new information on SEC Chairman Gary Gensler's meeting with SBF before its collapse. Charlie's a senior correspondent with Fox Business, and as I mentioned, he's with us here now tonight. So, Charlie, what's your new reporting on this connection with SBF?
Well, he was pushing an SEC-approved crypto exchange, something that other crypto exchanges, not even FTX has, the sort of blanket approval of the SEC, the blessing of it, and it would have been a big business venture. He's going to do it with another trader on Wall Street, a guy named Brad Katsuyama of IEX, and I don't want to say that the SEC was poised to approve it, but they got pretty far off they were going pretty fast, hard on this thing, and they were having multiple meetings with the SEC even after the initial Gensler meeting in March. So, I think one of the interesting things here, and I guess the book on this guy, is how did he hoodwink so many people? And I'm talking to him all the time. I mean, he blew a blue streak of you-know-what constantly. He virtue signaled better than anybody else, given to charity, given to the Democratic Party. He hoodwinked journalists that he was a great investor, when it was so odd that he was still giving money, expanding his empire, even as crypto started to correct or massively corrected. I kicked myself in the rear end not looking at that, because that was a tell. How does he give money to all these outfits when the whole crypto industry is getting crushed? Where is he getting that money from? And now the question is, did he take it from investors that have a wallet? And that's how you trade crypto. You put a wallet on your exchange. Did he take that money and misappropriate it in other ventures? And, this is a long process, and it's, he could be the next Bernie Madoff. He could just be a dumb kid. He's 30 years old. One thing that I'm sure he is He's not what he said he was. And, we did not question this enough. Think about the campaign contributions he gave. Yeah, he gave them to Democrats. He also often gave them to Democrats that were on committees that had, sort of regulatory oversight on crypto. So it wasn't sort of altruistic, so to speak.
Right.
And, he opened a lot of doors with those donations. I can't imagine that his phone call to Gary Gensler, the head of the SEC, I can't imagine that he didn't. That wasn't in the back of Gary Gensler's mind, knowing that he gave so much money out there to
Charlie,
even his boss, to Joe Biden.
I don't know if it's criminal. It certainly seems criminal to take money from people's crypto wallets and appropriate it to your own ends. And it certainly looks like you're buying insurance policies with all these donations to politicians. But one thing it was, as he lives in a brothel in the Bahamas, I believe, essentially, having fun with his friends while running this crypto exchange, is it shows the power of the fraud of virtue signaling. He duped a lot of people who were probably willing to be duped here. And I'm not talking about on the consumer end. Those people are the victims. These politicians and venture capitalists were either willing or absolute rubes in getting duped.
I mean, it is just really amazing that, knowing. Now, just in their defense, apparently he did show the books to people. Okay, he did show the books. It's what was in those books that, is going to come up, is going to be questionable. So we'll know a little bit more in the weeks, maybe even days to come.
Right.
This is unfolding rapidly.
Yeah, and it promises to possibly domino across the economy, so we need to be paying attention to this story. Charlie Gasparino, thank you for your time tonight.
Anytime.
All right. So